Now we will look more closely at language change in society. So the question is, how does language change occur in society? Now we talked about the concept of self-regulation. We said that no matter, although language is out there at a social spectrum, yet when individuals use the language, they somehow self-regulate their own behavior. That is, they bring about certain changes based on their needs in the language that they are using or in the languages that they are using. Now, gradually, if other people pick up that different usage of language, then it becomes a change that is more widespread in the society. So, language evolves with individuals, but also when it spreads into the society. We talked about pigeonization. We said pigeons also, for instance, arise when there are two communities who need to communicate with each other, and then because that need has to be served, they come up with a language that is called a pigeon. So this language somehow facilitates basic communication between two communities. So language is there, or language change comes in because of the need for communication. So what are we saying then? We are saying language is a valued tool of communication. And when the need for the communication changes, the language also shifts and changes. We also said that functions are more important than the language itself. So languages in the world do not exist to produce structure after structure, but they evolve and they emerge and they bring in new vocabulary because certain functions have to be performed, and to perform those functions we need a language to express ourselves. For example, pigeons. So if we say that certain functions are more valued in society than others, this would lead us to this concept of hierarchy of languages. Now, what do I mean by certain functions which might be more valued? Think of, for instance, the educational function in schools. Think of, for instance, the workplace. Think of, for instance, the working of the governments. Now, the languages that need to be used in those domains, or the functions that are to be performed in those domains, will be considered more important, or at least more valued by the larger society than the functions that are performed within the private space of your homes. So if we agree to that, then what happens in a multilingual context is that more often than not, there are one or two languages which are performing or which are somehow dedicated to the performance of those higher functions. Like in schools, you have a different language, you have a different language at the government level or in the workplace, and then you might have some languages that are somehow there in the space of your homes or close peers or your bonding relationships within the community, which are important, which are not highly valued in comparison with other functions in the wider society. Now, the languages which are associated with the higher functions then somehow are valorized. That is, they're given a value. And this value addition or this valorization of certain functions And inevitably, languages leads to a hierarchy of languages which plays out in individual language behavior as well as the society's language behavior. This valorization or a value that we ascribe to different languages can lead to language shift. Language shift would occurs at a society level. That would mean that certain languages either disappear or they are contracted or are limited more and more to the space of homes or to the private space, while other languages spread to the public space and gain more and more attention of the wider society. Or it can lead to language attrition. Attrition happens at individual level, that is, the individuals might forget their own language or might somehow lose a grip over their own language. This is in any case a dynamic process that is never done. It is constantly in flux.